Call this meeting for September 15th, 2025 for the City of New Fairview, regular city council. Roll call.
Harvey Burger.
Pete Kozlowski.
Kelly Kenneth.
Stephen King. John Heather. Alicia Childs. So we'll jump right into our work session.
Yes, sir, we can.
We'll receive a report and hold discussion regarding the water well application to Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District for the ranch land development.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this, and I've got Riley and Allison that are online, as well as I understand, in case there's any questions they might be able to answer. Council members call on February the 17th of this year. A preliminary plat was approved for ranch land, which was formerly Oliver Creek Ranch Development, and formerly Shoot Ranch Development. It was a preliminary plat for phase 1A that included 463 single-family units and 20 open space lots. Lennar Homes informed the city recently that they will be moving forward with drilling 4 water wells on the property so that they can begin with the development of this phase 1A. The water wells will be used for public water system, supply system, for commercial construction and for irrigation. They plan to use the water from these wells until they are finally connected to the Upper Trinity Regional Water District water that, we're working on with the city of Justin to able to bring surface water to New Fairview to the east side of our town. At a pre-application meeting that was held district where you have to get your well water or for drilling wells, Upper Trinity recommended that the city be the applicant for the water wells instead of the developer, since the city will ultimately own and operate the wells. And that's because of the development agreement that we had with the initial developer of Rock Hill Capital when it was approved as Shoot Ranch and just transferred over now to Lennar and the ranch land. So the city will ultimately be responsible for running the water and the wastewater system operations of ranch land, just like we're going to be running the water and wastewater for Constellation Lake, and they finally get up and running. The application for the permits and water wells are scheduled to be heard by the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District Board at the October 16th meeting, if all documents are submitted and fees are paid by September 16th. So the city will need to sign the water well applications and be present at the meeting. I gave you a sample of what the water well applications look like. I have received the applications filled out by the consultant that Lennar has hired to put together the application process. Lennar is going to be responsible for all costs. So the fees that need to be paid to Upper Trinity, the cost for the driller to come out and actually drill and putting all the system in place, all of that is going to be paid by Lennar, not by the city. And only when it becomes operational and it starts to get connected to a wastewater system or to a water system is when then we will take over the operation. But at the end of the day, those are going to be our water wells as far as the city is concerned. So with that, I turn that over to you for any questions, but I'm just wanting to let you know that we have been asked to go ahead and submit to be the applicants for these 4 water wells to keep this development moving forward.
When the city takes over the running of the water wells and wastewater, at that point, do we invoice the people there, or do we make money on that situation?
Yes, sir. So eventually we will be doing billing for water and wastewater services for folks that live in ranch land and then also folks that end up living in Constellation Lake. But even before we get there, we're going to start to incur some expenses. So I'm in the process of also talking to Lennar. They have, for their development, 2 bids that were approved back when Shoot Ranch was approved, under Rock Hill Development. One is a capital PID to be able to build roads and water systems, wastewater drainage, you name it. And the other one is a maintenance PID, very similar to what Constellation Lakes has, is a maintenance PID as well. And so it's that maintenance PID that I want Lennar to go ahead and activate, because unless they're just gonna be writing us checks for whatever the costs are gonna be to maintain it. I've had a preliminary discussion with you guys, I've sent you information in Friday memos. Then I'm talking to a company called Inframar. Inframar goes around and they run water and or wastewater operations for small cities, for MUDs and other type of developments. And in fact, they are the ones that are running the water and the wastewater system over here for Fairview Meadows, for that one. And so we're gonna need their expertise. We're gonna put them under contract. And in fact, I want them under contract before they start to build, because I want to make sure that Lennar is gonna build a wastewater treatment plant, which they're ready to put out there and start receiving bids and start building this thing, even because it's gonna take them about 18 months before that system, plant becomes operational. So before we end up inheriting a mess, I want to make sure that we have experts like Infomar who will be our eyes and represent us to make sure that it's being built like it should be built. But obviously, somebody's going to pay Infomar for that expense, and so it's gonna be the developer that's gonna need to be paying, because we currently do not have any homes. Another thing I found out is you need a minimum of 300 homes to be able to get a wastewater treatment plant to operate and function. In other words, to give enough wastewater into the system, the plant is operational. So until they get to that, around that 300 home built and online where people are flushing toilets, they're gonna have to be trucking this wastewater from the treatment plant out of the property area. That's expensive. It's all that needs to be covered by the developer until we're able to get that system operational and start charging customers.
So Lennar's gonna pay to have them. And then they hand them over to us.
Yes, sir.
And then, so the water that goes to the houses are the people who live in these houses being charged for said water.
They will be. So what you do is find out what the total amount is. And then as you bring customers, you start charging them, and whatever the delta is over, that's what the developer's still gonna be on the hook until we get enough customers that they're not paying for the cost of the system. So it's gonna be a while till we have enough customers to cover the total cost. But it's gonna have to be somebody covering it. It's not gonna be the city, it's gonna have to be the developer.
Any other questions?
Okay, so if there are no questions or any concerns raised, then I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with signing the, I think it's for, Allison, are you there? Maybe not.
Yes, I am here. Sorry, I had to find my button to speak.
Okay, we are applying, the application is gonna be for 4 different wells, correct?
Yes, sir. 2 Twin Mountains and 2 Paluxy.
Okay, and we're gonna have everything submitted and ready to go so that we'll be on the October 16th agenda.
That is the plan.
Okay, well.
You know,
I'm
there's
not-
a meeting tomorrow.
Right, so, well, yeah, but that's a different meeting, that's with Aquatex, and I don't think they have the ability to derail this, so I'm not worried about that. I do have the 4 applications he sent to me, I printed them out, I'm ready to sign it, but I wanted to wait till I had this conversation with the council before signing anything and sending it over to you.
Of course.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, so.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Submit 4 applications tomorrow to Allison, who will turn around and submit them to Trinity on our behalf, and then Lennar will pay for whatever fees for Trinity has. Okay? All right, Council, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Allison, that's all I needed.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome.
Receive a report and hold discussion regarding a request for application for primary depository services.
Yes, sir. Mayor, I'll take this, and then at some point I may turn it over to Susan, depending on the questions that you might have. So the Texas Local Government Code states that municipalities should enter into a depository agreement with a bank. And that agreement cannot last longer than 5 years. In that agreement, you must require certain things, like being able to make sure the depository is protecting all of the taxpayer monies that are in those accounts that you end up opening up with that depository or with that bank. You also try to negotiate so that you don't get charged any fees. You want to make sure you're collecting interest on any of your money instead of the bank rolling it over, and in lieu of charging the fees, they keep the interest, which never is a good thing for cities, but that's actually what's happening here when I first got here, so we put a stop to that real quick. So there are certain things that you want to be able to negotiate, and in fact, again, you should be doing this. Unfortunately, we have not, I could not find that we ever entered into any depository agreement, either with our current bank or any bank that we've had prior to that. And so what, the city secretary and I have been, talking to the city of Aurora, because they just recently went through this process. They also needed to do a depository agreement. Typically, you hire a consultant, to come in and help you put all this together, put the bids out, help you go ahead and screen through all the proposals that are submitted, and then make a recommendation to council. But we can't afford that right now, so we will probably, I'll convene a committee made up of our contract finance director, which is Tan, and then Susan. We'll probably ask the mayor to come in, and then maybe even Stephen, and we'll just sit down and we'll start going through any proposals, so we can go through a recommendation and bring that to the council. But I wanted to make you aware that we're in the process of working on what's called an RFA, a request for application, where we're gonna list all the things that we would like to see in a proposal, and then put that out to the market, send them out to banks, and see who we get to apply. We in fact have already been contacted by at least 2 banks that are gonna be interested in submitting a proposal, which is good, because when Aurora put their RFA out, what, 2 months ago, maybe? They only got 2 proposals back, and that was it. And so, but they picked one of the 2 that they did get back, so hopefully we'll get at least 2, if not more. And then we'll be able to come back and let you know what each proposal contains, and then the council can decide who is it that you want us to enter into a depository agreement. Maybe our current bank, it may not be, just have to see. And then we can go ahead and move funds over if we need to a different bank. So with that, I stand for any questions.
What funds go into this?
It's our money that we currently have in our checking account at the bank. It's not the money that we have in our investment pool accounts, which was Texas Class. It's not it. It's just whatever we have in the bank, which all we have is one checking account. That's it.
So we have the one checking account, that money will go into whatever you pick, and then we write checks on them, or?
So you're just basically changing banks, or you're staying with the bank that you have with certain specific dynamics in that agreement that
Okay,
they're gonna have to provide to the city.
I thought it was the investment, okay.
No, that investment pool stays alone. It's just, and we typically try to keep a balance of about $250,000 on any given day in that checking account
Okay,
to take care of our expenses.
okay.
And the reason behind this is just more security.
The reason behind this is because state law requires it, and we have not done it. So, shh, don't tell the comptroller's office.
Yeah, why does the state require it?
Because the state wants to make sure that cities are protecting taxpayer money. And the best way to do that is to enter an agreement that says you will do certain things to make sure that taxpayer money is protected.
Again, I guess I'm just not understanding how this differs from a normal checking account.
So, for example, the money, let's say you've got $500,000 in your checking account, right? But only 250,000 of that's FDIC insured, right? So in our case, we have $500,000 in our checking account, which is not uncommon for us to have that much money in checking account, but they have to secure those funds through a different form, not just FDIC. So we have a letter from them that says they have earmarked other funds that they actually have that are liquid, that heaven forbid something happens, the economy tanks, our funds are protected because of this, a security letter that's required. That's what this type of depository agreements require. So it's been made to make sure that taxpayer money doesn't get lost because they made a bad choice in which kind of account.
So they'll have security also in case somebody puts a hold of the account and starts to steal money and.
No, that's just all part of the, that's different, but that's all just part of whatever the security system is that that bank has.
Also, it's just a fancy word that state uses for bank.
Yeah. It's
So
all,
that's what I was thinking, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
well, it's, and again, like I said, one trick that banks.
The only difference
use-
is it's got more money than a normal household checking account, but.
So one trick that banks like to use for smaller and smaller cities don't know any better, so they'll open up an account and the bank will say, well, you know, we're gonna, because you're a city, we're gonna make you a deal, we won't charge you any fees. You can write as many checks as you want, you can do as many ACH transfers, blah, 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 blah. And in lieu of us charging you, then we'll just roll over whatever minimal interest you might earn. Well, it's not minimal interest if you're having an average of 250 to 500,000 in your checking account, right? On any given day, it starts to add up, and compared to the fees that you'll be paying, it's like, no, you're making money off of it, which is exactly what's happening, is we were losing a lot of money, thousands of dollars, because of the fact that we weren't collecting any interest, so put a stop to that. But again, that's what these depository agreements ensure, is that you don't enter into those type of agreements with them. The other thing is, you know, the council has passed an investment policy, right? There's only certain ways we can invest money. Now, obviously, we're not big enough that we're gonna be investing in like paper or T-bills or anything like that to a bank with even money markets. We're not there yet. But when we finally get to that point, they need to make sure that whatever investments they invest our money in complies with the investment policy that the city council has already approved. So that's why part of what we're gonna be putting out as part of this RFA is we're gonna attach a copy of our investment report so they can see. These are the only types of investments that we will ever be able to do with you guys if we ever get to that point. Okay, all right, so we're gonna move forward. Like I said, first step is we gotta create the RFA, and we got a good template of what Aurora sent to us. We'll be putting that out, and then once we start to get the RFAs and put the public notice, all that in the paper. Once we get the RFAs proposals back, I'll convene a committee, we'll start going through them, so. What are we, September, so maybe November, certainly by December, we should have something to come back to the council and say, here's what we got, and here's what we recommend, and then you guys can decide what you wanna do.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the work session.
A second,
I can second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Was Melissa the one that seconded?
Yes. All right, so with that, we'll move into our regular session, we'll have a roll call again.
Harvey Burger,
Pete Kozlowski.
Stephen King, John Hammond,
Melissa Sharp.
we're all present, we have a whole, we all join in pledge of thanks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I American Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the unity, to one state, under God, one indivisible.
Announcements of special commission.
Just a couple of announcements first. I want to thank, Mayor and, Councilmember Kenna for your support of the Keep Me Fairly Beautiful cleanup event that we had on Saturday. We had wonderful weather. We had goodies. Thank you to Councilmember Kenna for breakfast items. and we had a pretty good cleanup. Fortunately, it looked like we never done a cleanup on the north side or northbound lane of 287, because we just picked up a lot of trash and debris. I've got a photo that I'll include in the Friday memo this week, so you'll be able to see all the stuff that we picked up. So we had a good time. Oh, anything born. That's a, oh, really? Congratulations. Good, that's all right. You have your priorities set correctly, so no problem there. The other thing that we have is, we have our next Chunk and Junk event, which is our bulky item pickup, coming up on October the 4th here at the municipal complex, so we'll start to promote that next for our residents to be aware of that. And then, of course, we have, hopefully you'll have on your calendar, our trunk or treat event, which is scheduled for Saturday, October the 18th, up at the park. And we're going to start to send you more information on that. But we're making a big push to try and get people to bring out their vehicles, back it up, open up the trunk, decorate it, and hopefully hand out candy to kiddos. Councilor McKenna has found quite a few folks that have submitted applications, so they're gonna do that. So we're hopefully gonna have an even bigger event than we did the previous year, because it's always been a big event for us, but I think this time it's really gonna be a big event for our community.
And then what time October 18th?
We start at 5 to 7, I believe, yeah. Well, again, we'll send you more information.
I know we will not have the lights installed, but will we have the lights in-house, but
Yes, we will have you're talking about the solar trail lights, yes, so we will have the solar lights in hand, we won't have them installed.
could we have one on display for the?
Oh, absolutely, that's a good idea there. Yeah, we'll make sure that folks see, what the mayor's talking about was and I think I put this on your Friday memo, or maybe I sent you a separate email, the Parks Board at their last meeting gave us direction on two things. One, they picked the drinking water fountain for us to purchase that we're gonna install out there at the park. And two, they picked the types of solar lights that they want us to go ahead and purchase and install out there at the park along the walking track. Luckily, both of those items came in lower than the cost we had anticipated when we applied for that money in the grant we were awarded from Texas Parks and Wildlife. So we're already starting to rack up some savings somewhere, which is good, because I think they're gonna wanna purchase more musical instruments and other climbing tower type features for the kiddos that we don't have enough money for. So we're trending in the right direction, but yes, we can certainly have that, Mayor.
That'd be good to have one on display coming soon, soon.
Right. The other thing that we're working on is at that same event, as you're aware from my Friday memo, we have the rainwater harvest tank out there, not only constructed, but it's operational now. It's already capturing rainwater from the pavilion roof. In talking to Upper Trinity, they want to go ahead and do a ribbon cutting for that rainwater harvest tank on the day that we're having the trunk or treat. So at some point, we're gonna ask all our council members to meet us by the tank, and then they're gonna have any Upper Trinity board members there. And we can do a little photo op and make that an official ribbon cutting for the rainwater harvest tank that we are already collecting water and starting to use it for our irrigation needs out at the park. So both of those are very big sustainability efforts that the Parks Board has asked for. One, we're capturing rainwater, we're not depleting groundwater, right, for irrigation. And two, we're using solar lights for our walking trail lights.
Did they ever get the Monterey wells finished?
The what's it?
The Monterey wells that they were putting in there?
Yes, I believe I put that in the last Friday memo, or maybe the one before that, the driller has done all 3 wells. They've moved out, they still have some pipes sticking out of the ground, but they'll be coming back and capping them. And then Upper Trinity is gonna go out there and put some signage so that you can scan your barcode and they'll be able to take you to where those wells are being monitored.
And are they still working on the garden, the community garden out there as well?
Right, they were supposed to be at the Parks Board meeting, but we're not able to make it, so we're gonna bump that conversation till the October meeting. But yes, we're still working on the design, picking out the different types of drought tolerant plants, things of that nature. So we're still a ways off from that project kicking off.
So in the morning of the 18th, I have a 5K. I don't know whether I have.
Well, good, you go home, you get some rest, we don't start to 5 o'clock.
It's gonna be a long day. Well, you had said you wanted us to get together. I didn't know what time that was.
Okay, no worries,
Any other announcements?
that's all I have.
City administrator report,
No, sir.
public comment,
You have none.
consent agenda. All matters as consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. An item can be removed from the consent agenda by the city administrator, mayor, or any member of city council to be considered the approval, after the approval of the consent agenda. Approve the city council meeting minutes for September 2nd, 2025, and B, approve the August 2025 financial.
And Mayor, if you don't mind, council, I do want to bring your attention to something in the financial report. So if you can open up your financial report and go to page 12.
Please, then you were on 47. That was up about.
For August 31st, 2025,
Yeah.
it's in the consent folder. Or section of the meeting.
I can't. I don't think this,
You have to download it to rotate it.
I did. No, I don't think I do with that.
I did that.
It's problems on those circles.
Yeah, you can spin it around.
What page is that on?
Page 12.
Yes, page 58.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm just looking at that page.
It's different.
Okay.
I found it.
So the line item I want you to look at is under the Public Works Department, which is 2009. And it's under city projects and it's line item 5670 that says CCN. Does everybody see that's about in the middle of the page? 2009 5670 CCN. So if you'll notice under that first column, it says the current month expense / revenue. We're looking at expense accounts, not revenue, so this is an expenditure. And you see $638,357.60. Is everybody still with me? Okay, but you'll see that the third column over, current year budget, it's zero. So how did we spend $638,357,000 on the line item that is zero? If the council recalls, back in April 7th of 2025, they approved a professional service agreement with Westwood Professional Services to do engineering services and alignment study for the connection point with the city of Justin to be able to bring water in from the city of Justin to New Fairview for 2 developments, Ranchland being one of them, Constellation Lakes being the other one. And Lennar had informed the city that they wanted to move forward with the engineering and surveying for that line. And were willing to step up and pay for that project, which is estimated to be around $2.1 million. Of that, we got a scope of service from Westwood that said for New Fairview's portion of that project, it was gonna add up to $837,150. The Justin portion of that was obviously higher to equal out the $2.1 million total cost. So as you can see, $837,000 is what needed to be paid to do what it was that Lennar was wanting done. So the council authorized me to enter into a reimbursement agreement with Lennar back on February 27th of 2025. No, I'm sorry, March 17th of 2025. To go ahead and negotiate a reimbursement agreement with Lennar for these costs. which I did. And so the number you see here is the amount that Lennar has paid us. So you actually see the money coming in when you go look at the revenue side of our ledger. Under the other revenue, you'll see that money coming in, and here's where you see the money going out. So it's just a wash, it's money in, money out, but we have to show it so we balance out our general fund. Now, we're not done, as you can see, it only says 638,000, but what's been approved for our portion is 837,000, so there's still more work that needs to occur. It probably will not happen until next fiscal year, so you'll see the remaining amount hit this line item, which again, we don't have anything budgeted because there's no impact to our budget, it's just money in, money out. Okay? So I just want to make sure you were clear because it's really skewing our numbers for our budget. Both on the revenue side as well as the expenditure, but that's the way, in talking to our finance director, that we have to account for it. To be able to make sure when the auditor gets their hands on the reports for this fiscal year, they'll understand where that money came from and where. Very good, thank you.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
On a motion, I have a second.
A second.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? It passes unanimously. Moving to new business. We're going to discuss, consider an act on resolution 2025-09 -03-173, approving a professional service reimbursement payment agreement with Impression Homes LLC to cover the city's expenses for the creation of a public improvement district for Pioneer Estates Plan Development.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this one as well. Council, if you recall, back on August 4th of 2025, the city council approved a plan development zoning district for approximately 113.7 acres located on the east side of Pioneer Road. The developer, Impression Homes, is the one that asked for the PD. They want to build a master plan development of single-family residential units of approximately 104 single-family lots. And actually on August the 18th of 2025, the city council approved a preliminary plat for this PD. Impression Homes has stated that they are wanting to create a PID, a public improvement district, to be able to cover the expenses for all of the necessary infrastructure that's going to be needed for that development. And in fact, the city council recently approved a master agreement for us to have with P3 Works. P3 Works is actually the company that we used when we created the existing PIDs that we have right now on Constellation Lake. We have a capital PID and a maintenance PID. Obviously, it's not active because that development is not being built yet because they don't have the water. But once they get the water and start developing, then we're gonna start to see those PIDs become more active. But in the meantime, in order for this PID to be created, there are gonna be costs associated with it because we're gonna need to have our city attorney review it. We're gonna need to have P3 Works review it. We're gonna need to have our bond counsel take a look at it, as well as a financial advisor. And then, of course, staff is looking at it. So it's going to cost approximately, from what I understand from P3 Works, approximately 35,000 to be able to get this thing set up. There's no guarantee that it's gonna get approved by the council, but we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that we bring a PID that makes sense and also protects the city. Remember, PIDs are allowed to issue debt in the form of bonds, but those bonds are not leveraged against the city's credit. It doesn't affect us. The way those bonds are paid are just strictly by any of the assessments, money generated from assessments on that development itself. In other words, if you purchase a home there, you're gonna be paying an annual PID assessment that will be used towards making any payments for any debt issuance. I believe that Jared is on the line with P3 Works. Is that correct? Jared, are you on the line?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
George?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, Jordan.
Oh, no worries.
Is
No,
there
no.
anything that you think is pertinent to the discussion?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The biggest thing is kind of like you mentioned that this initial negotiation piece, under the professional services agreement, that is designed to basically cover the cost of that initial negotiation period, and it's all borne by the developer. Really, the intent here is that the growth should pay for growth. So we don't want to have anything hit the city's general fund or any of those other monies that would come out. It's all coming from the developer during that time period of the negotiation. Really, that should cover between, like you said, from the time we start here negotiating as well, all the way up until there's assessments that will be paid for those, any admin costs that kind of move forward. So again, the whole intent here is that this should be neutral to the city's general fund and should really allow the growth to pay for growth. But otherwise, I think you covered everything else.
Thank you very much. Impression Homes was planning to be at the
Absolutely.
meeting. Was planning to be at the meeting tonight, but they emailed us that they had an emergency, we're not able to make it, so we do not have anybody here from the developer to represent, or answer any questions as to why they're wanting to pay it, but I think it's pretty straightforward. So with that, I stand.
Any questions?
With that, take the questions.
Go ahead, Robert.
So this PID and finances and getting the money and money going in and out,
Mhm.
is that something that you oversee, or is there another finance? Who takes care of this?
Sure, no, good question. So what we will do is we're gonna work with P3 Works. We'll set it up so that a trust will be the one getting the funds. The funds are collected through assessments, right? That are levied each year by the tax office. In this case, right now, for Constellation Lake, it's on the Denton County side of our city. So Denton County currently is collecting the assessments for the Constellation Lake pigs. I told you there were two of them. This one is in Wise County. So we'll set it up so that Wise County will be collecting the assessments. And remember, each year we bring you an annual plan for you to review and approve. We just went through that, I believe in August. For the PID over here in Constellation Lake. So now we're gonna bring you the annual plan each year now for this one as well. So when that money is collected, what we do is we have the tax office transferred directly to the trust, which right now we're using Wilmington? Wilmington Trust. So we're not actually touching it. It's not gonna be in any of our statements, so we're gonna have an issue like I just explained to you about money in, money out. It goes to that trust, then P3 Works bills us, sends us a monthly invoice. We review it, then we go ahead and contact the trust and say, go ahead and pay, or do the trust pay for P3 directly, or do they pay us?
Yeah, the pay P3 directly after I sign off on it.
So we review it, and until we tell the trust to pay it, then nobody gets paid. Okay?
What's the timeline if we approve this tonight, that, the PID will come back to us to be approved?
Hey, Jared, do you have any idea what timeline we might be looking at for this type of PID till we're ready to bring it back to the council?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to be dependent on just what the developer's asking for on the development side. With it already being a PID in the city that already has a PD, like you said, it should really cut down on that time. My guess is 3-ish, 4 months maybe, just to negotiate the development agreements. And I know, John, kind of there's a kind of a typical timeline that goes through it, but it's all, there's a lot of steps between now and when there's actually a levy of assessments and an issuance of bonds, if that's contemplated. But really, the development agreement, we're at the first step there. That the next piece would be, once that's all negotiated, that would be a petition that's filed by the landowner. Like I said, it's really going to be up to what the first draft of the development agreement says, how long it takes us to negotiate and get to a place where everybody's comfortable. But with some of the initial pieces already outlined, especially in the PD, I don't anticipate this being a particularly long time.
Question? Thank you, almost almost because there's two big holidays. Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, also understand the developer is waiting on purchasing the land until this gets approved. Is that correct?
Has the transaction already occurred?
Not yet, they are, that is their desire. I think they have an outside date of October 15th, October 5th. And so we're gonna have to have a discussion about that with the owner.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why they're waiting till the pig is approved, but, tonight's a big step. If we, council approves a PSA, I mean, to sign this PSA, that's basically, they've got, I think it says they've got 15 days to go ahead and write us a check for $20,000, which will be the escrow that setting up to start paying bills. And then if we need more money, there's, we let them know, they give us more money, we refill the escrow account, but every indication we've given to them is we've done bids before, we're not opposed to bids, and, more than likely, we understand you're gonna need a bid probably to get this development done, so I don't know what
I think they were concerned with what their possible reimbursement costs were gonna be, what they have to put in escrow. So now we established that.
Yeah, but in the agreement, it's $20,000, and initially, I went with the recommendation, P3 Works said, 35,000, but more or less that's what it's gonna cost to put all this together, so I pitched that out there, they said, no, we would prefer to just give you 20 up front. And then if we get down to 5,000 or less, we send them a notice to say we need another $10,000, and they've got, forgot how many, 30 days or something like that, 2 weeks to send us another $10,000 check that we reimburse the escrow and keep paying bills. Otherwise, if the money runs out, we come to a screeching halt, and they're gonna be the big losers, not us, because they need the PID more than we do. And so there's no way they're gonna let that happen. So again, I'm hopeful that after tonight, that they might be more willing to close the deal with Carl.
I'm sure there will be, and that's my hope as well, so I think this is a good reimbursement agreement, and, there could be nothing stopping them now, I know others definitely wants to.
Right, because as you know, the current property owner has his own development that he wants to do there, but he needs the capital to get that project started, and so. Again, hopefully they'll close the deal, so he can then start working on his development, and we can move forward with P3 Works on getting this pig, put it, so we can bring it back to the council.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve a resolution 202509 03 173 authorizing the city administrator to enter into a professional service reimbursement payment agreement with Impression Homes LLC for the payment of all city expenses necessary to create a public improvement district for Pioneer Estates.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Jordan, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good one. Look forward to working with y'all.
Let's say with that, we'll move to B. The city consider an act on an ordinance 2025-09-01-134 adopting an increase to the employee contribution rate to the Texas Municipal Retirement System, TMRS, from 7% to 8% pursuant to the provisions authorized under House Bill 3161 enacted during the 89th Texas Legislature.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this one as well. So, Mayor and Council, as you are aware, TMRS is the benefits that are the retirement system for municipal employees in the state of Texas. And it's regulated by the state of Texas. And in fact, under current regulations, it says that all city employees must contribute 7% of their gross compensation. And then there's the city contribution, which currently is a 2-to-1 match here in New Fairview. TMRS is the retirement system. And different cities sometimes have a fluctuation on things like how long it takes to get vested or what their match is. Very few of them though, I think almost all now are currently at 7%. However, with the change in law, it allows now employees to go ahead and contribute up to 8% of their salary that will go towards their retirement. So what we have tonight is an ordinance for council to consider, which will increase the employee contribution from 7% to 8%. This will result obviously in a 1% higher payroll deduction of the checks that the employees take home. It does also increase the employer contribution rate. Currently, if we stayed at 7%, it would be 8.42%. But from what we got from TMRS, if we go to 8%, it's gonna go to 9.62%. That increase in dollars translates into, if you go to the financial consideration section, it translates into $6,719 for the upcoming fiscal year in total, as far as impact to the city, not the employee, but to the city for the 25-26. Now, when I prepared the 25-26 budget, I did go ahead and go with the 9.62% number currently for our TMRS calculation in our budget. So we already have the money in there budgeted in, so there's not gonna be any additional impact to the budget. Unless the council does not approve the increase, then we're just gonna see that $6,719 in savings then, because as I said, it's already factored in there. So the change cannot take effect until after October 1 of 2025. And I really think that this is something that keeps us competitive in the market, because it's gonna allow us to be able to tell potential employees for recruitment that we are one of those cities that is doing an 8% for retirement. And it's also a retention feature when sometimes employees are looking at going to another city. You hopefully are looking not just at what is the salary increase, but what's the impact going to be. Now, here in New Fairview, you have to work for 5 years to get vested. Otherwise, if you leave before that 5 years, you're able to take what you contributed out of TMRS and move it over. You're not able to take what the city contributed. That just stays in that pot of money. So that means that our rates end up sometimes getting lower than they normally would be, because now we have extra money in that pot that is now not going to be used because unemployed left. So it's really foolish of someone to leave before you get vested. But once you get vested, then when you go to another city, then automatically, this is like here, myself, I've already been vested in Denton, I've already been vested in Lake Dallas. The minute I started here, I was already vested under TMRS, even though I've been here 5 years in. That's just the way the TMRS system works. So just know that, you know, I've told this to employees, is the golden number around here is 5. You want to be here at least 5 years to be able to capture the retirement that you put in and be able to take the city's portion as well. So we have those discussions with staff, so I know staff is looking at it. So it truly is a retention recruitment tool that we use when we're competing against other people in our market. And with that, I stand for any questions.
But the employee contribution caps at 8.
It currently caps at 7. If the council approves this ordinance, it will cap at 8.
So they have an individual choice as to how much they can contribute.
No, sir, the council sets that.
So if I'm a young man and I'm not looking at retirement, I still gotta give 7% now.
Yes.
We're gonna look out for your.
That's right, we're gonna look out for you, you're not gonna look out for you. It's
How do
basically,
they feel about that? Even if you're talking to the staff, how do they feel about
no, they actually are looking forward to it, because I think, ironically enough, our staff is already talking about and looking at the TMRS, or I mean, looking at retirement. We have conversations for those that currently are not participating in the 457 account, which, that's not ICMARC, it's not what, Mission Square? Mission Square. And, you know, I was telling them, you know, even if you put aside $25 a paycheck, that's what I did when I first started out in law enforcement in the city. Then I put $50 aside for a paycheck, that's all I could afford. But it adds up, especially if you put it in a high risk, high growth type of investment in your 457 account, it starts to add up. And so I'm having those conversations with them. So it seems like they're interested in increasing more contribution, because they know that it's, when they finally get to retirement age, they're gonna benefit from that.
I'm just shocked it was that low, to be honest. My company, you mandatory started at 5 and it's 1% a year. The max.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, until you get to 19.
So, yeah, that's like my wife's company too.
You know, I'm at 19.
Yeah, quite as a county.
You best said 7 years.
7 years.
I was already vested.
Yeah, so Wise County. Right, so he's gonna become, yeah, same situation.
So whatever rate we set the employee contribution, they're paying that no matter what, they can't choose to pay like 5%, it's, so I was gonna say, I mean,
It's
8%, you can seem kind of low if you want to contribute more, but if you go higher, then they have to.
But you can contribute whatever amount you want to the 457 plan. Again, that's also used towards retirement, because it's pre-tax dollars.
Pre-tax and not matching.
Gotcha.
But I think what they're gonna be looking at is the city is matching the 8%.
Correct.
So technically, they're making money, they don't see it until they get.
I don't understand the 2-for-1. Could you explain
Yes, so for the dollar contribution that an employee puts in, the city matches that at a 2-to-1 rate. But it's not always exactly 2-to-1, because like I said, it depends on the amount of money the city's already put in towards that TMRS pot that, TMRS is basically taking care of for us. As employees come on board and they contribute and then they leave, which happens more often than not before they get vested, you build up that pot of money, so you're not actually contributing each fiscal year towards that at a 2-to-1 rate. They're just factoring that out on still what the equivalent will be, again, based on the life expectancy of your employees and when they would actually retire.
The county is 225%, they make it sound really big, but. That's 2.25.
2.25. Yeah, which is a common practice for public entities.
I know it's when we approved the 2-for-1 contribution, that was a hard thing for the council to decide to do.
But it's commonplace.
Yeah, like, I mean, the county, so the county, because it's pretty standard.
I know,
But that's not what we're talking about.
I know.
We're just talking about from about 7 to 8%. We're talking about,
This
we're
is,
talking about 9,000, I'm sorry, 6,700.
well, the second part increases us, but the 8% is what the employees contribute, not what we do. The second part.
I know, but if they contribute more, then it increases our contribution as well.
Yeah, we have to manage.
Right, and that's what I said, it's gonna go this year from, what's normally would have been 8.42 at a 7% to 9.62 at an 8%. The dollar amount is $6,719.
That ratio.
Isn't this what we agreed to?
I'm sorry, sir?
The ratio that we pay could increase next year.
Oh, if we approve it.
No.
That's not a 1-to-1 that you're, don't you're showing me right there.
No, you can't, you cannot go more than the 8% right now under state law. So your ratio doesn't increase. What fluctuates is how well of a job has TMRS done in investing the money that you have, the money that they control, they put that in investments. They've been doing pretty good. They've been running about 6 to 7% investment rate. So as long as they're making good investments, they continue to build that pot of money that's for New Fairview, means we have to contribute that much less. That's why the ratio fluctuates. The other thing too, also again, is do you have employees that are contributing at a 7 or an 8%, but do you also have employees that are getting vested and moving out or not? So as long as you're not having employees moving out and taking their 5% or taking their contribution as well as the city's contribution, then you still have quite a bit of money in your pot, so to say.
And if they leave before they're vested, then that money stays the city's.
Well, my point is that 6,000 something, you think it'd be impactful to the city by increasing to 8%. That's not a 2-to-1.
Right, because we have quite a bit of money in our pot, that's
That's my point, is next year it may be different, so. I approved this additional percentage, and we're doing the 2-to-1 contribution. That could be a higher number next year, it could be less. But it could be higher, up to the point of the 2-to-1 contribution.
Yeah, and really the only thing that's gonna make any significant difference to our rate for next year is gonna be how well TMRS does this year in their investments. Because that'll let us know how much more money we have to come up with to be able to match the equivalent of a 2-to-1 ratio having in that pot.
We do not have a vested employee, correct? Not one.
No, we don't have one yet. We still have another year on one of them.
Oh, mine was here 20.
Yeah, 19 years.
They have one.
We have one that has another year coming up before they're vested.
Yeah, oh, yeah, so right now, currently, current employee, the first one that'll get vested is gonna be Joshua, he's got another year and a half.
A year.
Yeah, before he can get his 5 years.
So you're the only one.
I'm the only one vested, right? Cause I was already vested after 27.5 years with Denton and then another 3.5 of that, like that.
Well, as it stands right now, unless they stay. I mean,
That money,
I'm
that's-
sure they're planning to stay, but
That money goes.
if somebody leaves, then that money stays.
Well, I think that back, Renee is also vested.
I'm vested too.
Oh, you're vested, okay, so we got some that are being vested. Cause we worked at other cities before.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if we hire people for the water treatment plant and 2 years, they more than likely will be vested as well, and if we're not gonna hire people that don't know what they're doing. So then that, like 2 people will have 4, 5, 6 people that'll be vested in that.
But by then, we'll be making more money, when we start billing for water.
Right, well, first let me clarify, remember I mentioned earlier, we're trying to contract with Infomart, so those are not gonna be city employees. And we're contracting with them because, yes, we don't have that knowledge, experience and skill set, but they do. So those are not city employees, it's not contributing to MRS. At some point though, when we do start to hire city employees, then depending on who gets hired, if it's somebody that's not been invested in another city, then the clock starts day one, like you gotta get 5 years. But if you have invested in a city, then it's no different than me, for example.
Well, and also, it's not that we don't want people to be vested, because it's far more expensive to keep hiring people to replace people that don't stay than it would be just to let them, keep people here long enough to get vested. So it's not like we're not wanting them to be vested, I think.
Well, plus, the more vested, the more experience.
Right.
The less we have to worry about who's filling in.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point. There is a cost to turnover in lost productivity, as well as recruiting costs, as well as training costs. So there's a significant cost when you have a high rotation of your employees to your organization. So you want to do everything you can, to try and hang on to them. But again, at 5 years, if you can keep them 5 years, especially for a city our size, that's pretty good. Because a lot of employees that start in these small organizations are doing it because they want to get the experience so they can move on to bigger cities and make more money. And it's difficult sometimes. We've lost a lot of good folks because they can make, 50 cents to $1 more an hour somewhere else. And that's what they're looking at, not looking at the fact that when you leave, you're leaving all this money behind. But I think the more you educate them, obviously, the more that you make it an environment they want to work at, show them they're appreciated, give them the tools that they need to get the job done, the more likely you're gonna start to get employees that are gonna stick around and eventually reach that 5-year vested mark. And also keep in mind, you're not able to even touch this money until you retire. So, you can't even draw down on it until you have put in your 20 years, or you've met all of TMR's requirements to be able to retire and start drawing them.
Right, what it just meant was this. I mean, this increase will help retain people because everywhere I've ever worked at, and we've had, having to hire employees and looking at the cost behind it all, it's far more expensive to have to, like you said, find someone that you, all the time it takes, money it takes to get people hired, get them trained, all that stuff, it's way more expensive. So it's, obviously you want to keep people who are gonna be doing the job correctly, but it's giving them more incentive to stay here is cheaper than trying to find new people.
Right. And then, everybody has a right to go to retirement, so, I don't have any problem with it.
Does this, apply to the city administrator, city secretary?
Every city employee,
Full time or just the city employees?
just the ones that are at least 3/4 time or above. We don't have any 3/4 time.
Now, in your contract, that contribution, that it goes into the other accounts, that's what.
That's correct, yeah, it's not TMR is same for me as it is for her, as it is for every other city employee, it's 7% of salary, that's it. Like I said, that is set by the council, that's why we're having this discussion tonight, because you guys have the opportunity to change that to 8% and so desire. But again, whatever that number ends up being, that's set for all of us, so whether we're 7 employees, 700 or 7,000, it's set.
My biggest concern with it is not even the city side, it's the employee side. Like, if you're really sure that your whole staff is okay with us taking more money from them, then that's my concern. It's like we just give them the cost of living increase and then like, oh, but we're gonna take half of that back for you, but it's for your own good. But if they're looking paycheck to paycheck, that 1% is pretty intense. So that's my biggest thought process.
All right.
We've had conversations with them, because the other thing, if you remember, we're also now going to change our payroll. Starting in October, the new fiscal year, and we've had conversations with staff since July or June. To start prepping them, because right now they're used to getting paid every Friday. And that's just a lot of administrative work that makes no sense. So we've told them early on, start saving up, because, and we, Susan did a nice calendar that said, this is gonna be the last day where we're gonna be get paid for a week, that full week. Then this period, you're gonna get paid, but it's only gonna be for 7 days. And then this one down here is when you're finally gonna get paid for 10 days. You're gonna go a Friday without a paycheck. So then after that, now we're doing every other Friday. So we've been having those discussions with them along with this as well. And also, what was going on in the budget as far as the COLA goes. So did you get a sense that anybody had any concern?
Nobody is brought any concerns.
Like, for $1,000, it's $10.
But you're only getting the
Yeah.
2% increase, I think half of that back away from you, that's.
Well, it's pre-tax dollars too,
Yes.
so it's,
So I'm in the service industry, janitorial. Been doing it since 1986. So all this talk is totally foreign to me. There is no vacation. There's no CPI. There's no TMS. There's no retirement. No holidays, no vacation, no sick days. So that's where I come from. And a lot of people that live here, this is probably foreign to them too, that their tax money is going for retirement and all these other things, which I didn't agree with the handbook, everybody knows that, so we keep, and they're gonna get a 5 or 7% increase, that's in the budget for this year as well. So I thought it went up to 7, but it may be 5. So all these increases are protecting our employees who do a good job, that's that. But there are a lot of people in this city, and they're not gonna come in here, as you can see, and protest it or anything else. But that's why I think I'm here, is to speak for them. And we got a lot of benefits here. We pay a good salary compared to the other cities around here and compared to some of the stuff in Fort Worth, so I'm not comfortable with continuing to increase the city employees' benefits and retirements and so forth. I'll probably be the odd man out, and I'm used to it, but there's my speech.
and I think we're all here to speak for the people in the city, I think that's the whole point of us being here.
No, not everybody, so.
That's your opinion.
I could not imagine a job that didn't pay me sick.
Yeah, I would not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand, I've been doing it for 33
Unless
years.
they're paying me $1 million a year, so I can pay for all the other
Yeah.
stuff myself.
But I think he is right, I mean, like, it took me 20 years to get with a company that pays me benefits.
See, I used to be a waitress at Black Eyed Pea, and even there I was getting a retirement and sick days and.
And that's why I'm bringing it up. Yeah, y'all have great jobs and the company takes care of you, American Airlines. Oh my God. So I get that thinking and I wish I did too, but we don't. And the 500 employees that work for me don't either. So that's just a part of life that y'all aren't familiar with. I'm sure you know about it, but it does happen. And the people that are working at Walmart and so forth, they're not getting the benefits that the city gets.
Well, I know Walmart.
Actually, Walmart has benefits than most of us.
That's what they have vacation days, no, retirement most of the time is a 401k, and there are certain employees, next, I don't know if Walmart does. But a lot of those places
I only
do.
worked at Walmart for 6 months. Like in.
I mean,
They have really good.
how would that, most of the people have their jobs have the option to have some benefits, because legally, if you're a full-time employee, they have to give you benefits, it's illegal for them to not offer it to you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how a company cannot offer health benefits or anything like that, because full-time employees are legally obligated to provide those things.
All 100% contract. They're not really.
If you're a contract employee, that's different,
They're all contracts,
but if you're a full-time employee at a company, they're legally obligated, so.
But I mean, I'm here for the citizens as well, but if we lose everybody in the city that's working here, then the city's gonna go to hell. So, I mean, we're kind of in a.
It's 1% now, it's 5% later, it keeps adding up and everything they've voted for has got approved by the council as far as my memory goes.
I'm not,
No, we turned down some.
but in my opinion, I think. There are a lot of people, not a lot, but enough people live in the city, and then some of the ones that I've spoken to. I don't always necessarily agree with your take on what they all want. So I don't think every person in the city doesn't want us to pay benefits to the city employees.
I think there's a lot of people in the city that do have jobs with benefits and understand that we have to give benefits to. And then there's other people that don't, I get it, but I mean, we're never, ever going to make 100% of the people happy. I learned that in my career a long time ago.
I mean, I know, I work for the county, and I know the benefits that they offer are pretty similar to this.
Yeah. Didn't count, like that.
Yeah, and, I mean, I know we used to work for last time, and it's pretty similar, like, with the. They have vacation time, health insurance.
I think Wise County would have gone up to the 8% that is allowed. But I think there are a lot of these young bucks that are like, no, I want to do a paycheck, which is what you brought up. So
We're talking about increasing benefits. I'm not suggesting take anything away. Again, these are the two best people since I've been here. 29 years, so it has nothing to do with them. And we're not taking anything away, we're saying let's increase already existing benefits.
What bothers me is the timing of this. For one to spend some money at this council meeting, and the coming council meetings, the next few, where we spending a lot of money. The PUA for the water district. That's gonna cost a lot of money, and so this council be voting on spending a lot of money here real quick. And this does not set us up for that. Even though it's already in the budget, we'll be approving purchasing the Bobcat and borrowing money from that. And I don't know what else is gonna sneak up on us. I don't want us to get into, where each meeting we're voting on spending more and more money. That bothers me. Again, I've always supported the employees, and I probably will again tonight, but I just wish this would not have come up this time.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, is there any way we could table this for a little while and just revisit it again after?
Want to see where our money is
Yeah.
October 1st.
Well, we'll be fine money wise, but, citizen watching this, that golly, we're spending money every meeting. And what's all this money we're putting
When
towards?
I first started reading this, I thought this was what we talked about with them in there, but then the more I read it, I was like, wait, this is not just for these.
Well, you watch, we're gonna be spending a lot of money annually for this new, was it public utility agency?
Yes, so for the PUA, I've got that to you for October, our portion, our pro rata share is 31,000.
31,000.
Which we'll probably recommend drawing down from the fund balance.
Right.
Remember, we're about to add about 600,000 to our fund balance when we close out this year, because Susan and her team have done a great job of collecting on invoices, and we've been trying to collect for some time and haven't been successful, so we're about to give a major infusion to the city's rainy day fund, as most people know it. And when we close out this fiscal year, but we're about to ask for council to okay, your local agreement for 31,000 is our fair share of the 300,000, we've got to raise for money for this PUA to try to bring water into Wise County.
Then we're gonna be doing the wastewater feasibility study that will have a cost associated with that.
No, sir, that's not gonna happen. Remember at the last Wise County Mayor's Coalition meeting, they put the stop on that and said they wanna wait until to see if we get any federal funding for the 200,000, so that's come to a halt right now.
Okay.
The only other expense that you're gonna see here is gonna be the skid steer and attachments, which we're looking at. They're having a double capital loan, just like we've done for our trucks and our other trailers, so it'll be money in, money out for the next fiscal year. And it won't be until 2 fiscal years from now when you actually have to make your P and I payments on whether it's a 3 or 5 year, whatever you guys decide you want to do for that.
Just want the council to be aware that we have some spending moving to do in the next few council meetings. And I support you guys 1,000%. And I will vote to approve this tonight, but I just hope we don't get into a series where we're spending, that makes us look bad to the people we represent.
I agree, it's not like I wanna look at this, but I think our job is to, speak for what the people want, but also to decide what we feel is best for the city of Lamar. And sometimes people are gonna not like that, because you're never, like she said, you're never gonna please everybody all the time.
And we're always spending money in October, but it's when we will just.
Right.
Always.
My last point is that I feel that the city is right at the tipping point of just taking off and having thousands of homes here, and everybody's gonna be more busy, and they're gonna have to pay closer attention. And there's going to come a time when we won't have to tiptoe at the end of our budget where we only have X amount of money and we gotta draw out of the rainy day fund. I think that is going to come. And
Will never happen.
Yeah, because more money they can work for.
City Fort Worth do tiptoes, City of Dallas do tiptoes, it'll never happen.
I mean, we did good this year, you said we're about to add $600,000.
City of Dallas, he makes $400,000 or $500,000 a year. I think that this city, if it grows to the size of Decatur or surpasses it, that everybody at City Hall will be making more money and there will be more money available is what I believe could happen. And if you're already making this much and then 5-10 years later, where do you go? So that's my point of view, and it could be wrong, so, but that's,
It's not really right or wrong, it's your point of view, I think that's the whole point of being here, so we can discuss people's differences of
But
opinion.
if the city's gonna blow up, then we're gonna need more employees. And we're gonna need something that'll recruit employees. So it's kind of a catch-22 you got one.
I mean, I don't disagree, it's, I don't think any job would ever work, they just constantly give you more money all the time, but I don't think this 1% is necessarily,
I mean, we normally get a raise every year.
Yeah, so I'm saying, you
We
know,
did it Wise County. Like, there was only one year, the whole time I worked there, that we didn't get some sort of raise. Usually it was just the 3% COLA, but it was something.
That's great.
I mean, everywhere I've ever worked, you get a yearly review and you get either 3 to 5%, or sometimes you get nothing depending if you're eligible.
If I never got a raise or something like that.
Well, what I'm saying is 3 to 5% was average, and then people that were obviously having trouble, better got more, people that weren't getting less, but we always got cost of living raises everywhere.
That's why I said it was only 1 year that I can think of that we just didn't get a raise. I don't think anybody in the county did.
Yeah. They always tell us it's conditioned every year, but ever since I've been moving.
Any other questions? Comments? Do I have a motion?
I mean, I think given the discussion, I would suggest that we just table this for a while, then revisit it later if everybody's okay with it.
Does this have to go into the full fiscal year?
No, ma'am.
I'll make the motion.
I move to approve ordinance 202509-01-132, adopting an increase to the employee contribution rate to the Texas Municipal Retirement System, TMRS, from 7% to 8% pursuant to the provisions authorized under House Bill 3161, enacted during the 89th Texas legislative session.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Passes 4-1, thank you.
Thank you, council.
I was wondering if there's anywhere we could like put a time frame on that, like no more of that for 5 more years.
Yeah.
Because on state changes and goes.
Yeah.
You can always change the 2 to 1 or the rate, you can always go back and have, council change that.
Well, the 2 to 1 is very basic, everybody, almost every government is back by one.
I couldn't answer that, on Durban, it's 5, but they don't max mine out till it's mandatory, you start out at 5, and you go to 19. So, you better be, at 19 years, you better be prepared and have your kids out of the house. So you take 20% of the paycheck away from you. All right. Mayor and council member announcements, anybody have any announcements? So now, I think everything I had. John's already covered, I mentioned,
Vice County Grace.
Mayor's Coalition is next fourth, I believe. Is the 22nd.
No, 24,
24th.
Wednesday.
So I'm on the wrong month. Let me get it, I'll get it in September, yes. September the 24th at 5:30 in Paradise. And if you're going, you gotta make sure the mayor knows so she can have your cheeseburger and Paradise. And
Smash Burgers.
smash it.
They can have the,
Uh,
they can have kangaroo.
They're a good sticker company. All right, and that's all I have. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all those favors say aye.
Aye.
No, we put those down.
Yes.
He's saying it was.
It's out of that.
Mayor Council, thank you for your time tonight.
Can you adjust my screen so it's not timing now? Or is it back? I thought I did it, but maybe.
That's what Trey is.
We're getting on the chocolates.
I'm not,